Acts 17 verse 18 and the Philosophers, Epicurus and Zeno as guides to wisdom. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is this babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seems to be advocating foreign gods." They said this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. Acts 17:18. When Luke recorded this meeting between Paul and the philosophers of Athens, he introduced two of the greatest schools of the ancient world, Epicureanism and Stoicism. Both have often been misunderstood or unfairly dismissed, yet together they represent some of the most profound achievements of the human mind. Their inquiries into nature, ethics, and the meaning of life remain valuable even today. To read Acts 17:18 with appreciation is to recognize that Paul was addressing not shallow men, but thoughtful seekers of wisdom whose legacy continues to inspire. Epicurus and the Vision of Atoms, Epicurus, 342 to 271 BC, was one of the most brilliant thinkers of antiquity. Without telescopes, microscopes, or particle accelerators, he used observation and reason to arrive at a comprehensive philosophy of nature. Building upon the ideas of Democritus, he adopted the theory of atomism, the belief that all things are composed of indivisible atoms moving through empty space. This radical insight became the foundation of later natural science. Where Democritus had imagined a rigid determinism, Epicurus introduced the famous clinamen, or atomic swerve. This small but revolutionary idea suggested that atoms occasionally and unpredictably deviate from their paths. The swerve broke the chain of mechanical necessity and opened the way for freedom, chance, and creativity in the universe. This insight foreshadowed discoveries centuries later, when modern quantum physics revealed that indeterminacy lies at the very heart of matter. Epicurean philosophy is rightly seen as the foundation of Newtonian physics, or classical mechanics. Newton's description of bodies moving through space under consistent laws reflects the atomism Epicurus proclaimed in Greece 200 years before Christ. At the same time, the Epicurean swerve resonates with today's quantum physics, where particles behave with unpredictability, probability, and spontaneity. To honor Epicurus is to honor a man who, with only his mind and careful reasoning, anticipated both the determinism of classical science and the uncertainties of modern physics. But Epicurus was not only concerned with atoms, he was deeply concerned with how people lived. For him, philosophy's purpose was to remove fear and to bring tranquility. The gods, he argued, existed but were far removed from human affairs. The soul was corporeal, made of atoms, and therefore mortal. There was no eternal torment to fear, no arbitrary divine punishments, and no need to dread death. What mattered was the cultivation of peace, friendship, and freedom from anxiety. The Garden of Epicurus became a refuge where men and women alike sought wisdom in community and joy in simplicity. Zeno and the discipline of Stoicism. While Epicurus emphasized pleasure and tranquility, Zeno of Citium, c. 360 to 264 BC, founded a school that emphasized virtue and discipline. His followers became known as the Stoics because he taught in the painted porch, Stoa. For them, the highest good was to live according to reason and nature. The Stoics regarded the deity as a corporeal being, intimately united to matter by a necessary connection. The cosmos itself was a living, rational, material whole, ordered by divine wisdom, or logos. Nothing happened by chance. All was subject to the determination of fate, which was not blind necessity, but the unfolding of perfect reason. From this worldview, Stoic morality emerged. External goods and evils, wealth, poverty, pain, pleasure, were considered secondary. What mattered was the condition of the soul, to be free from passion, to accept both joy and sorrow with equanimity, and to master one's reactions. This was the true path to happiness. The Stoic vision produced some of history's most admirable figures. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, embodied Stoic wisdom in his meditations. Seneca, the philosopher-statesman, counseled calm and courage in adversity. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from mastery of oneself. Their lives stand as monuments to the possibility of moral greatness in a world of change and hardship. Epicureans and Stoics together. Though their goals differed, Epicureans and Stoics shared more than is often recognized. Both schools were materialist in outlook. They believed the world was corporeal, governed by natural laws, and not ruled by capricious gods. Both rejected superstition and sought freedom from fear. Both emphasized the inner condition of the person over external wealth or power. Epicurus sought to cultivate tranquil pleasure through friendship and simplicity. The Stoics sought to cultivate virtue and resilience through discipline and reason. Together, they present a balanced picture of human flourishing, joy combined with virtue, freedom combined with strength. In Acts 17:18, when Paul stood before them, these were not opponents to be despised, but thinkers who had much to contribute to humanity. Their questioning of resurrection was not mere hostility, but the consistent application of their philosophical systems. Their commitment to reason, nature, and virtue provided a context for dialogue that shaped the history of thought. Why Christians should study them. Christians often overlook how much they can learn from Epicurean and Stoic philosophy. Epicurus's atomism shows that the world is intelligible, lawful, and subject to rational inquiry. His emphasis on friendship, peace of mind, and freedom from fear resonates with the Christian call to love, joy, and contentment. Stoicism, meanwhile, offers profound lessons in virtue, courage, and endurance. Its discipline of the mind parallels biblical exhortations to self-control, patience, and steadfastness. The Stoic conviction that the deity is corporeal and that the universe is rationally ordered can help Christians better appreciate the material reality of creation and the wisdom behind it. Studying these philosophies does not require abandoning faith. Instead, it allows Christians to recognize the nobility of human inquiry outside their own tradition, to refine their understanding of reason and virtue, and to engage with the broader heritage of wisdom that God has allowed humanity to cultivate. As Paul himself quoted pagan poets to make his point, so too can modern believers benefit from studying the Epicureans and Stoics. Conclusion: a noble legacy. Epicureanism and Stoicism, far from being enemies of truth, are shining examples of human reason and virtue. Epicurus gave the world a vision of atoms, void, and freedom that laid the groundwork for modern science. Zeno and his followers gave the world a vision of virtue, discipline, and rational order that continues to shape moral thought and psychology. Both traditions were grounded in the conviction that the universe is corporeal, material, and governed by natural law. Both sought to free people from fear, superstition, and slavery to passion. Both ennobled humanity by offering practical guidance for living well. Acts 17:18 records a moment when Paul met these philosophers face to face. Their legacy, however, extends far beyond that day in Athens. They remain teachers for all ages, voices of wisdom in the search for truth, and companions for anyone who desires a life of joy, virtue, and peace. Word